Well, thank you very much, Minister Hickey. We sincerely appreciate your ongoing commitment to building a stronger and more effective relationship between your government and our members. Please accept our thanks for joining us today. A donation has been made to the Mike Badham Scholarship Fund on your behalf. I'm now going to turn the microphone over to Michael Fougere to introduce our next speaker. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan, and good afternoon, everyone. Our next speaker has traveled a long way to be with us here today. Vrbanovic is from Kitchener-Waterloo, and he brings with him more than 20 years' experience in public and private sector activity. Having represented the residents of Kitchener City Council, Mr. Vrbanovic first joined the Board of Directors of the FCM in 2000 and has held an impressive slate of positions with FCM, most recently as the organization's president. Over the years, he served on numerous community and national boards, including the Centre and the Square Board, the Kitchener Public Library Board, Wilfrid Laurier University Board of Governors, the Kitchener-Waterloo Oktoberfest Advisory Council, the Canadian Police Sector Council Board, and the large urban caucus of the Association of Municipalities of Ontario. His work with FCM has included chairing the Standing Committee on Community Safety and Crime Prevention, the Standing Committee on International Relations, and the Ontario Caucus. In 2005, he became the FCM's Tsunami Advisory Committee Chair, and since then he has visited the affected regions in Sri Lanka and Indonesia several times as part of the post-tsunami capacity building work being done by Canada's cities and communities in these regions. He represents FCM on the Executive Council of the United Cities of Local Government. So please join with me in asking the President of FCM to come forward to bring some remarks.
Thank you very much, Michael, for that kind introduction and for the opportunity to join so many of you and be here with you today. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and let me say what a pleasure it is to be back here in Regina and to see so many of you from across the province. Il me fait grand plaisir d'être ici avec vous et de rencontrer des collègues de partout à travers la province. I've been out to Saskatchewan several times before, including previous visits to Regina and Saskatoon since being president. Each time I came out, I've come to appreciate the great people of Saskatchewan more and more. Your warmth, your kindness, and your hospitality are truly amazing. I've also come to know great people such as Alan Earl, your president, and a key member of FCM's board of directors. Alan's contributions about the needs of urban municipalities in Saskatchewan is truly significant, and we appreciate all he has done in his service to our board of directors. Great people such as host city mayor Pat Fiacco. Pat's energy, enthusiasm, and passion for his community and local government is second to none, and his energy on our board from his days in the past as chair of the Big City Mayor's Caucus is certainly missed around the boardroom table. And great people like the Mayor and Council of Saskatoon, who will be hosting this year's FCM AGM and annual conference in Saskatoon from June 1st to 4th. I can't tell you how happy we are to be coming to Saskatchewan for the AGM. And it seems like many of our municipal colleagues from across the country are happy as well, as we're seeing a great response to both hotel and convention registrations. So a shout out goes to Tiffany Polson, chair of the Saskatoon Conference Planning Committee, who together with Mayor Don, Councillors Darren Hill, Bev Dubois, and other members of council promised us an AGM second to none. I know many of you will be there to support your fellow Saskatchewanians as they welcome Canada to Saskatoon. I'd also like to acknowledge FCM's directors from Saskatchewan who are here. Mayor Deb Button from Weyburn, Councillor Bev Dubois from Saskatoon, Dave Merritt, President of the Saskatchewan Association of Rural Municipalities, and Jared Schaefer, the Mayor of Swift Current, as well as your President, Alan Earl. I encourage everyone here to connect with your FCM directors and let them know what's happening in your community, for they are your direct voice within FCM, and one of your best ways to let us know how we can most effectively represent you. Je vous invite à communiquer avec les directeurs ici présents et de partager avec eux les priorités de vos communautés. Ils sont votre porte-voix au sein de la Fédération et ont vos intérêts à cœur. These directors join me on the board of FCM, an organization that has been your voice, the voice of municipal government in Ottawa, since 1901. Our presence here is a symbol of the partnership that exists amongst all municipal associations in Canada. FCM and SUMA have enjoyed a special partnership for many years. Partnerships are key to how we work, and it is within this partnership theme that I'd like to share a few thoughts today. First, I'd like to tell you a little bit about FCM, who we are, and how we represent our members. Second, I'd like to discuss what we do in Ottawa to make a difference for communities in Saskatchewan and across Canada. And finally, I'd like to underscore some of the key issues we're focusing on in the coming year. You'll hear about a key initiative that has financial implications for every Canadian municipality and how you can get involved to ensure we are successful. FCM represents more than 90% of Canada's population, almost 2,000 municipalities across the country. Our members include more than 340 cities and communities across Saskatchewan. As your voice in Ottawa, our first priority is to promote and safeguard the interests of all communities, big or small, rural or urban, on policy and program matters that fall within federal jurisdiction. Matters such as infrastructure projects, policing and community safety, affordable housing, and many other issues. Our partnership with the federal government is the key relationship FCM has developed on your behalf for national issues as well as for international matters. FCM has a clear approach to partnerships. We believe partnerships are about working together to get things done for our members, such as the federal gas tax fund, the GST rebates for municipalities, and the Economic Action Plan. Now let's talk about what matters most to you, getting results for communities in Saskatchewan. Communities here receive substantial funding every year from the gas tax fund. These allotments exceeded $59 million for the 2009-10 fiscal year, and another $188.8 million will flow into the province through the gas tax fund by 2014. Then there's the Infrastructure Stimulus Fund, which has provided $116.8 million for 155 municipal projects in Saskatchewan. Also, the Building Canada Fund Communities Component top-up has given out more than $14.8 million for 50 projects. So those programs are a few ways that we work with the federal government on your behalf, but we do much more than that. We're also there for communities overseas. We were there when the tsunami hit Sri Lanka and Indonesia, and when the earthquake rocked Haiti. FCM joined forces with the federal government to help rebuild human and physical capacities in cities and towns devastated by these disasters. This year, as FCM celebrates its 25th anniversary of international development, I'm proud to say that our commitment to working with municipalities overseas is stronger than ever. I'm also proud to say that Saskatchewan communities play an important role in our international program. In the past, through people like SUMA CEO Laurent Mougeot's involvement and former Regina councillor Mike Badham, whose memory lives on through the Mike Badham International Award at FCM. And currently, through ongoing involvement of people like Laurent, Mayor Deb Button, and others, who are helping to foster local economic development in 12 cities in the Ukraine. Regina, Moose Jaw, and Weyburn have all contributed time and expertise to this initiative. SUMA has also been very supportive of our Ukrainian project and is active in our other development programs in Asia, Africa, Latin America, and Haiti. Thank you to all of you for your contributions in helping municipalities overseas and to help these municipalities in their capacity building initiatives as they work to better serve their citizens as well. Another key area in which FCM collaborates with the federal government on your behalf is through our national programs, the largest of which is the Green Municipal Fund, or GMF. This $550 million fund provides grants and loans to support municipal initiatives that benefit the environment, local economies, and the quality of life of our citizens. Since the fund's inception, Saskatchewan communities have received $8.9 million in capital for 35 projects. For Saskatoon, it has meant $2.5 million in GMF funding to eliminate sludge that is discharged into the South Saskatchewan River during the water treatment process. Here in Regina, the city received a $125,000 GMF grant to develop a sustainable community plan to revitalize a downtown neighborhood beset with crime, poverty, and housing problems. So, all of this gives you a sense of what we do as an organization. And yes, we've had many successes, but there are many issues which we still must address. Today, I want to draw your attention to one that will affect your communities and all communities across Canada. I'm talking about the Government of Canada's funding programs and the fact that 40% of core federal investments in cities and communities will expire by 2014. These programs provide our communities with access to funding for cost-shared infrastructure projects, frontline policing, and affordable housing. These expiring programs are worth $1.9 billion per year to Canadian municipalities. For your communities in Saskatchewan, it means the potential loss of more than $240 million annually in infrastructure funding alone. Since these programs support fundamental municipal services ranging from roads, bridges, and sewers to policing and affordable housing, the potential loss of this funding will undoubtedly affect all of our communities. People are going to feel the impact, perhaps in reduced water quality or unsafe streets. It could be that many more people won't have a roof over their heads, and then there's the blow to business, such as lower productivity and competitiveness. But there's good news for us. Last November, the federal government, making good on its commitment in Budget 2011, formally launched a process to work together with FCM, the provinces, territories, and other stakeholders on a new long-term infrastructure plan. This plan will pave the way for proper planning and long-term funding to rebuild our community's aging roads, bridges, water systems, community centers, and transportation links. In support of the plan, FCM has established a municipal infrastructure forum, which I am chairing. Bringing together municipal representatives from every province and territory, the forum will contribute meaningfully as a consultative body toward the development of a plan by facilitating better program design and greater cooperation amongst governments and the private sector. The forum, which is being co-chaired by Regina Mayor Pat Fiacco and includes Swift current Mayor and FCM Director Jared Schaefer, has had 2 productive conference calls to lay the groundwork for our discussions and will meet face-to-face for the first time February 7th in Ottawa. But let's have no misunderstandings about this. While FCM is leading the effort by all Canadian municipalities to ensure that new federal funding is in place by 2014, building a long-term sustainable infrastructure plan can't happen in Ottawa alone. Municipalities from Saskatchewan and indeed every province and territory must speak up about the need for the plan and what it will mean to our citizens and their quality of life in years to come. Today's comments from Minister Hickey and Premier Brad Wall were encouraging, but as the Premier said, we still have a lot of work to do. So please, talk with FCM's directors. They need to know your community's long-term infrastructure requirements, for it will be our elected leadership and senior staff at FCM who will collaborate directly with Infrastructure Canada, officials, and our PTA partners, including SUMA and SARM, to craft the long-term infrastructure plan for the post-2014 period. As I noted earlier, our partnership with the federal government is the key relationship FCM has developed on your behalf, and it is the best way for your voice to be heard on the long-term infrastructure plan. Another way you can get involved if you're in this room and your community is not a member of FCM, please join us and add your strength to our voice. History shows that as our membership grows and we speak with a strong, united voice, our influence in Ottawa becomes much greater, and we get things done. In 2001 and 2002, we reached 1,000 members under the late Jack Layton's FCM presidency, and 10 years later, with your help, we hope to break the 2,000 barrier by the time we reach our conference in Saskatoon. Clearly, we need to turn the next long-term infrastructure plan into a new generation of municipal funding programs. But we also need to take this cooperative model and put it to work in other areas, starting with policing and public safety. Across Canada, policing and public safety is one of the largest budget items in most municipal budgets. For over a generation, the federal government has turned to the RCMP to address the policing issues facing our country. But the RCMP doesn't have the resources it needs to do all the jobs expected of it. As a result, local police have been left with additional policing responsibilities. When it comes to keeping our community safe, Canadians want to see common sense cooperation amongst all orders of government. FCM wants to hear from communities, our policing partners, and our stakeholders to understand the current state of the federal-municipal policing relationship, including the federal and local RCMP. We need to talk about the challenges impacting policing, community safety, and municipal budgets. And we need to understand what all governments can do to contribute to practical solutions for addressing federal and local RCMP resource needs and public safety. Another issue is housing affordability. Federal investments must go beyond funding cycles of 2 and 3 years. Investments must support longer-term provincial and municipal housing strategies which attract newcomers and support seniors and local workers in our communities. In that regard, tomorrow in Ottawa, I will be releasing our report on municipal housing with recommendations for the federal government going into budget 2012 with colleagues from Brampton as well as from Gatineau in Quebec. So stay tuned for more information on that. In closing, thank you for your hospitality. I hope to see many of you at the AGM in Saskatoon in June. I urge you to make the trip from wherever you live in this province and attend the conference, take part in its forums, bring your perspective, and help shape our policy around the long-term infrastructure plan, policing, housing, the environment, and other key advocacy issues. I'd like to thank SUMA for partnering with us in support of Canadian municipalities, and I look forward to continuing to work with you in the coming months and to seeing you at the conference in Saskatoon. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you very much, Barry, for joining us and giving us an update on FCM.